Hey everyone, this is Ketchup here, and although today's video is about the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, it sadly isn't for entirely good reasons. Most of you well know at this point that I received an early access copy a couple of days before official release, and with the game launching with the rough online experience that it had, I have understandably had a lot of people being angry at me for not calling it sooner, as I was very much one of the only people to receive an early copy. Today's video gives my personal opinion on the current state of the collection and highlighting some well-needed areas of improvement that I wasn't able to catch in the early copy that I'd received, and why I've only just got back for the content space. And as you can tell from upload schedule, I haven't actually uploaded since the collection launched. First things first, thank you for being patient with me, and I get that so many people are upset. We all care about old school Mortal Kombat, and it deserves a good modern experience. So the immediate question I've had is, why did you not flag all of these issues the second you had your hands on the game? Issues in question mostly being about online, some offline input delay stuff, and missing features in specific versions. The first thing I need to mention here is that, as I mentioned in the pinned comment of my early access preview, I did not have access to the online. The guideline for early content was offline mode only, excluding the documentary stuff. And as such, I only highlighted a few areas of the game that interested me, such as the Noob Cybot in WaveNet, some training mode settings, filters and screen options, basic stuff that just gave an early impression. I actively didn't play hours upon hours of this early version because I didn't want to essentially reveal everything right before the public got to experience themselves, something that I mentioned in that first video. Perhaps if I extensively made tons of content for all the games, I may have noticed more of these things, but the fact is, I didn't. What you saw in those videos is essentially what I played. Secondly, input delay offline. I only had the PC version ready for early access, and although I did have a PS5 code, I hadn't installed it until November 1st because the PC is historically a lot easier to capture games with. Consoles seemingly having different levels of native input delay, and with the PC version of training mode, I sadly didn't notice anything crazy out of the ordinary. I could still land all of my combos and recreate training situations like a sweep punish or anti-airs, so sadly, I didn't feel like much was amiss in the short time that I played. I'm not a technical guy, and I've never been able to test exactly how much latency exists in games, but that's also not what our channel does either. I think it is completely fair enough to put me on blast for not noticing PC delay, but almost embarrassingly, I didn't notice it. So for me, that is just an L I'm gonna have to hold, and all I can do is say, that's on me. For console versions, such as the PS5, I didn't play it until the game had released. In regards to missing content from stuff like the 32X version of MK2, I straight up didn't play it. I never played that version growing up, and like I said, I only focused on a couple of areas in the collection for early access, so regardless, I would never have caught that stuff. And finally, the small gap between content since launch. I've seen various stories and rumors about why we haven't had any videos up or been on social media, but the fact of the matter is far simpler. I was at a close friend's wedding for 3 days. I knew the collection would be there when I got back, so I wasn't stressed about missing release day. I just assumed I'd be catching up on all the cool stuff people were doing, and not the dumpster fire that I did come back to. Properly testing the online didn't happen until November 1st, so when it comes to the disappointing online performance, I was very much just as surprised as everyone else. I just didn't experience it until a couple of days later. Now, that is all I've got to say for the immediate discussions about the channel. The actual point of this video is to talk about the collection. The good, but mostly and more importantly, the bad. So let's get stuck into it. So easily the most important thing to talk about is the current online performance, and this is a big one. I believe there has been a PC hotfix rollout already, but matchmaking on PC still seems broken anyway, so I can't even test if it's been improved. It's why I had to install the PS5 version, which has its own issues to begin with. The big thing to say right now though is that the performance of online does not cut it. I know there's the choice to adjust input lag depending on connection, but no matter the game, it doesn't perform as well as it needs to for long-term replay value. Some games seem to have more input lag than others. I have no idea if that comes down to the games themselves or the port or whatever, but no game had flawless netplay, or I would say an acceptable degree of input lag, even at the lowest settings. Another major issue that makes it all feel even worse is the audio. I think all you need to do is watch a single online match of any game right now to know that the audio is extremely glitchy. It cuts out, it gets corrupted, and it makes the entire experience feel even worse when you add input delay to the mix. It's just not something that anyone in their right mind would want to play. I mean, even an offline game, not fighting game related, with this audio would be so unpleasant to play that most people wouldn't. And to be fair, why would they? Mustard and myself tried to give ourselves the best possible connection chance, and we played every single game just so we could form a solid opinion, and it was never perfect. And I would say, for a couple of games, only just playable if you ignore the audio, which you simply can't do. We changed our filter settings to confirm that we were a 5-bar connection with each other, and we had our input lag set to 1, which is the lowest, and even that wasn't good. At its best connection strength, there is no way your average game overseas is going to be good. The reason this upsets me so much is because the online is where I was the most excited to finally play Arcade MK4, to finally play Trilogy, because Ultimate MK3 and MK2, they've been easily accessible thanks to stuff like Fightcade for ages now. But if the games are almost impossible to enjoy online at the moment, you're going to lose any chance of the game growing and developing a player base for any system. By the time we get online lobbies, which Digital Eclipse have confirmed is coming within weeks and not months, I just hope there are sufficient online fixes at the same time. Lobbies will be awesome, and they're definitely needed. I mean, don't even get me started on Private Match, which isn't in the game right now. But if the games are running poorly, people still won't want to play, and no one will want to run tournaments for it. You may be asking how in these clips, always it's Mustard and I playing together. We pretty much had to snipe each other in quick match with the specific settings that I mentioned. That's not ideal by any means, and it's obviously frustrating. Another issue about all of this is the lack of crossplay, and I would say the matchmaking in general. I think the game is screaming out for an option to queue for multiple games at once. Being stuck to one game at a time is going to further divide the player base and make it even harder to consistently find games. I definitely don't mind queuing for Trilogy, Ultimate MK3, and MK4 all at once, and I wouldn't mind what game I play, as long as I can, play. No crossplay will make the heavily divided game queues even more prominent, and I just feel like, for a matchmaking situation, some games are just going to die immediately because it will be way too specific to find even one other opponent. And if you finally do and the performance is rough, why would someone try it again, Now, my final thoughts on the negatives right now come down to console performance. It seems pretty well documented already that the PlayStation versions have some pretty gnarly offline lag, and that was something that I noticed as well when I finally played the PS5 version. Now, PlayStation 4 users are also reporting this, and if even offline you have delay, it can't be used for tournaments or offline events. Seeing as PS5 is usually the tournament standard for the entire FGC, that's going to be quite a blow to the offline community. Now, the PC does not seem to have as much as PS5, and Mustard has the Switch 2 version, also confirming that the PlayStation 5 lag is significantly worse than Switch 2 as well. I seriously hope that performance fixes can roll out for the consoles that are struggling to keep latency down, even offline. Again, Digital Eclipse have confirmed a hotfix, but some of these updates are dependent on approval times from the console companies themselves, so I don't know when we'll be seeing those improvements, but hopefully it's soon. I'm sure I'll have more to say down the line, but my early thoughts of the online are just not positive. It's where these games get their replay value for a lot of people, and even though the documentary stuff is wonderful and the offline collections are definitely really good, It is still a game at the end of the day, something to be played. And if the online can't be played well, we're missing a serious portion of the community that will be supporting the game for the future, right? I just really hope that fixes come sooner rather than later. And it does seem like Digital Eclipse are open to all feedback and have been very transparent online about what they're looking to change or when updates can be expected. The collection does exceed in other areas, and I feel like that's where all of the high review scores have come from. The praise in the collection comes from the wild attention to detail in the documentary, the interviews, the history, the buckets and buckets of behind the scenes, the sheer amount of versions in the collection, even though some are still missing for various reasons. When all you had to play was the offline, you get to see where a ton of the effort has gone into the collection itself. Besides some versions having input lag depending on console and some versions needing more work, such as MK4, which, as far as I'm aware, has already been adjusted on PC where you can't run through characters anymore, everything overall seems a lot more rock solid. I believe there has already been a fix to the 32X version to retain some sound effects or something, some changes to the Sega versions in general, according to the patch notes. But if all you play this for is the offline, you're definitely going to be seeing a lot more positivity. I've seen it online where people who have no interest in the online have pretty much nothing but good things to say about the whole thing, and this is where the big divide seems to be happening. The offline content, for the most part, is exceptional. I genuinely believe that. But online is a huge part of games today, and it's just not about preserving the classics, it's preserving the means for players from all games being able to come together under one roof and play all these games as high level as you want, and be able to do so easily. Tournaments, exhibitions, just running online sets with friends or viewers or whatever. That is so important this day and age, and if you want online play, it is a huge hiccup that we're all currently having to deal with. Like I said, I'm sure I'll have more to say on this topic the more I play and the more I watch, but my thoughts right now are as follows. If you want to play offline and absorb the content through arcade ladders, the videos, the behind the scenes, you'll be totally fine. With the exception of console, because PlayStation has input lag at the moment, but generally, it's not going to be as bad. If you want to play this game, but are on the fence because you want to play online, wait. Just wait for improvements to happen. Wait for the online features to be added, such as lobbies. If you play the game online right now in its current state, you're not going to have a good time. Digital Eclipse have been very transparent on what they're looking to fix, so I really hope they can pull through and get these fixes in, because right now, the online simply isn't ready. Thank you all for watching. I hope I was able to clear up my point of view on this whole thing. And again, apologies for being away during the launch period. It was a shame to come back to hell on earth when I just thought we'd be able to run games and have a good time, but hopefully there is still time for all of that. Take care of yourselves, everyone, and I'll definitely see you next time. Goodbye.